The Russian commanders planned a massive assault, not with just 1 or 2 tanks or vehicles, but this time with more than 20 vehicles, including their latest T-90 tanks, APCs, and BMPs, but they were not going all at once. August 7, 2025, they first sent an MTLB. A Ukrainian soldier quickly spotted it and quickly informed this to the drone operators. Russian commanders wanted to check the availability and strength of Ukrainian soldiers and drone operators in that area. So they sent an MTLB first. The Ukrainian UAV operators quickly began to prepare FPV drones. They knew that one APC would never come alone to attack their position. It must be part of an entire brigade, and they were right. But first, they had to deal with this MTLB. They launched FPV drones to attack one after another. The drones struck it. But this vehicle was heavily protected by a metal shield, which saved it from major damage. After facing multiple strikes, it finally stopped. Then, one after another, more drones hit it. It took more than 22 drones to finally destroy this vehicle, showing how strong its protection was. For comparison, many Russian tanks take only one shot to detonate the ammunition inside, and the entire tank is gone. The Russians were watching the entire scene, and now they sent a second wave of vehicles. This time, they sent 3 vehicles, including 2 tanks and 1 armored personnel carrier. The first tank moved fast through the village, followed by the APC, but then it hit mine. The second tank stopped to help, but drones hovering above quickly started. On the other side, the APC kept moving forward until a drone hit it from the front. Soldiers quickly left the APC and tried to hide nearby cover. The soldiers who escaped from the earlier attack are now in open terrain, trying to hide in the tree line, but they are taken down by FPV drone operators one by one. Using thermal scanning, the drone operators can easily spot their positions. Some soldiers tried to flee on foot across the open terrain, but they were also knocked down. They planned another assault. This time, they sent 14 more soldiers on quad bikes, not in APCs, but on quad bikes. Seeing more soldiers coming, the UAV operators also deployed more drones. Ukrainian soldiers used cluster munitions against them. One by one, the soldiers were taken down. This attack also ended in failure. The Russian commander launched the 4th wave of attack, but this time sending 1 APC and 2 tanks. The leading tank hit a mine, but kept moving. Then drones attacked the APC. Seeing this, the Russians quickly parked their tank near a tree line, left it, and tried to hide there. But drones locked onto the target and launched multiple direct strikes. The tank exploded, and this attack also ended in complete failure. After this wave of attacks, Ukrainian soldiers quickly began to prepare for a larger operation. This time, they knew the Russians were not done yet. so they gathered and armed hundreds of drones, ready for the strike. Soon, the Ukrainian brigade finally discovered the exact position of the Russian convoy hiding in the area. The location of the remaining tanks, BMPs, and APCs was spotted, and the order was given to attack. In just moments, a swarm of drones filled the sky, moving toward the convoy. The Russians tried to escape in panic, with tanks and vehicles speeding in different directions. But it was already too late. One after another, drones struck their targets, causing massive explosions. After countless hits, fire and smoke covered the area. The entire column was wiped out, leaving behind nothing but destroyed vehicles and burning wreckage. This attack ended in a complete disaster for the Russian convoy. Hidden in position, 2 Ukrainian tanks lie in wait. Overhead, a drone guides their every move, watching as Russian armor slowly enters the kill zone. The moment the enemy crosses the line of fire, the ambush begins. The first shell roars out, slamming into its target. The second round follows instantly. Then comes the third shot, and with it, the Russian tank is engulfed in flames. Metal burns, smoke rises, and the battlefield erupts in chaos. Amid the destruction, one Russian crewman manages to escape, running from the inferno, but the fight is far from over. Another Russian tank pushes forward, unaware it is being tracked the entire time. The Ukrainians hold their fire, waiting for the perfect opportunity. When it finally comes, the shot is delivered with precision. The target is struck, and the Russians are left with no chance of recovery. Another tank reduced to wreckage. In desperation, the enemy tries to retaliate. An anti-tank guided missile is launched, but it misses its mark. In slow motion, we can see it strike the ground harmlessly, failing to stop the Ukrainian advance. The Russian ATGM team fires again. The missile streaks through the air, but slams directly into a tree trunk, exploding uselessly. A second team joins the fight and launches their own strike. Another miss. Despite the repeated attempts, the Ukrainian tank remains unharmed. Having endured the barrage, it slowly begins to pull back from the area, leaving the Russian efforts wasted. Remember the soldiers who abandoned their vehicles and tried to run to save their lives. Those soldiers were later found hiding in an open drain. Some soldiers tried to hide under a tree, but a drone strike followed right after. A few of them were knocked down, but some managed to escape and ran toward a nearby abandoned village. The village was already destroyed, but they tried to use the rubble as cover. One Russian soldier was spotted sitting inside a ruined house. A drone quickly locked onto his position and launched a direct hit, destroying it completely. Still, some soldiers managed to flee that point. Moments later, a reconnaissance drone spotted a group of 2 more Russian soldiers hiding among the collapsed houses. An FPV drone operator quickly located their exact position and launched a strike. Causing the entire structure to collapse. Both soldiers inside were completely neutralized. A massive column of Russian armor is on the move. Tanks and APCs, dozens of vehicles pushing forward together. Ukrainian artillery opens up, pounding the road ahead, but the enemy keeps advancing despite the explosions around them. That's when Ukrainian tank crews take on a dangerous mission. One of their tanks moves into position with remarkable skill, using the cover of a building to stay hidden while keeping control over a key stretch of the road. The first shot is fired, it misses. The crew reloads quickly. The second shell finds its mark. A Russian APC is struck and soon bursts into flames, yet the rest of the column continues forward. The Russians still don't realize where the fire is coming from. Watch closely as another APC drives straight into the crosshairs of the Ukrainian tank. The moment it enters the kill zone, the tank unleashes another round. A near miss, but the pressure is mounting. Then, one of the Russian tanks is hit and disabled, under fire. The column pushes on, but not without losses. Several armored vehicles are already burning on the roadside, evidence of the deadly ambush. Yet another operational plan, another assault. This time, the Russians sent T-72 tanks, an older T-62, and 3 more APCs. As they advanced, the first tank hit a mine. Right after that, another tank was struck directly by a drone. The second tank also rolled onto a mine, leaving it stuck in the open field. Now, it was an easy target. A drone locked onto the target and struck from above, then hit again from the front, causing a massive explosion. Moments later, one by one, the remaining tanks were knocked out. Then, a drone targeted the APC from behind and scored a direct hit. Fire spread quickly across the convoy. Within minutes, all of the tanks and APCs were burning on the battlefield. And this entire attack was destroyed. Imagine being a Russian tank crewman today. Overhead, an FPV drone could already be circling. Push too fast and you hit a minefield. Slow down and HIMARS locks onto you. Even if you break through, Bradleys may be waiting at the tree line with missiles ready. Under that constant pressure, many assaults collapse. Crews abandon their vehicles and run across fields, hoping only to survive. In the aftermath of those brutal clashes, one thing becomes immediately clear. Modern warfare is no longer just about who brings the most tanks or the heaviest artillery. What we just saw with the Bradley facing down that massive Russian column is a perfect example of how tactics, timing, and layered defenses can turn even the most desperate situations into opportunities. For the first year of the conflict, Russia held the upper hand in sheer numbers. Columns of T-72s, T-82s, and even the more advanced T-90M tanks rolled forward with heavy support, backed by armored personnel carriers and artillery. These assaults often looked overwhelming on paper. And in the early months, many positions fell simply because Ukraine had no effective counter. Russian commanders believed massed armor could crush defenses quickly. But in the past 7 to 8 months, that calculation has changed. Ukraine has reorganized, adapted, and combined new technologies with older tactics in ways that completely reshaped the battlefield. Now, instead of Russian tanks breaking through, they are being destroyed in alarming numbers before they can even engage effectively. The key lies in how Ukraine layers its defenses. The first line is almost always drones. from small FPV kamikaze units to the much larger Baba Yaga night drones. These operators don't just strike targets randomly. They scout, disorient, and pick off the lead vehicles in a column. Once the head of a convoy is struck, the rest are forced to halt, bunching together on narrow roads or open ground. This makes them sitting targets. That's where artillery and HIMARS come in. Guided rocket strikes tear through stalled formations. A single HIMARS launch can wipe out multiple vehicles at once. And Ukraine has used them to devastating effect. Destroying not just tanks, but also critical supply convoys of fuel and ammunition. Russian troops know that if they stop for too long, they could be annihilated in seconds. Then comes the third layer. Vehicles like the Bradley. While Russia pushes armor like the T-90M, which is designed to dominate in tank-to-tank combat, Ukraine counters with Bradleys, machines that don't rely only on armor, but on versatility. Their 25mm Bushmaster cannon tears through lighter vehicles and fortifications, while their TOW missiles are deadly even to the heaviest tanks. Unlike many Russian vehicles that explode catastrophically when hit, Bradleys are designed for survivability, often saving the crew even under heavy fire. And when Russian tanks try to push through mined fields, they face yet another obstacle. Ukraine has been laying dense belts of anti-tank mines across likely advance routes. Tanks that strike these mines are immobilized, becoming easy prey for drones or artillery. Entire assaults collapse because the lead vehicles are disabled, and the rest cannot maneuver without exposing themselves. The Russians have tried adapting, sending armored recovery vehicles or BMP infantry carriers to flank, but these too are targeted. Often the rescue columns suffer the same fate as the units they were meant to save. It creates a chain reaction where one failed assault leads directly to another. Over time, these repeated losses add up. Ukraine has destroyed thousands of Russian armored vehicles since the war began. But what's striking is how many of those losses have come recently. In the last half year, the tempo of destruction has accelerated. With every failed push, Russian forces bleed not just machines, but morale, because this isn't just about numbers, it's about psychology. On the Ukrainian side, confidence is growing. Every destroyed T-90, every burned-out BMP, every failed Russian column reinforces the belief that their tactics work. And this isn't just isolated to one area. In regions like Pokrovsk, Kupiansk, and Avdiivka, the same patterns repeat. Drones locate, artillery strikes, mines stall, and Bradleys or infantry clean up what remains. What makes this so effective is coordination. Each tool by itself, whether a Bradley, a HIMARS strike, or an FPV drone, can inflict damage. But when combined, they create a battlefield where Russia has no safe option. Advance, and you are destroyed. Retreat, and you are hunted down. Stay still, and you are eliminated by precision fire. In the beginning of this war, Russia believed raw numbers would decide the outcome. But, as the last 7 to 8 months have shown, numbers alone cannot overcome adaptation and strategy. Ukraine has turned technology and creativity into force multipliers, allowing them to stand against a much larger foe and even reclaim ground. So, when we look back at that Bradley facing a massive Russian tank column, it isn't just a single heroic moment. It's a symbol of how the battlefield has shifted. Ukraine now fights with layered defenses, flexible tactics, and relentless strikes that dismantle Russia's strength piece by piece. This war is no longer decided by who has the most tanks, but by who uses their tools more effectively. And for now, Ukraine is proving that precision, coordination, and resilience can outweigh sheer size.